we're going to be trying the gels and I'm not going to be dying at 18k anymore.
But once you do, like, it makes a massive difference.
Yeah, for sure. Have you ever wondered what glucose to fructose ratio means? Are you one of those runners that tried a gel once and gave up because it didn't sit well in their stomach? Do you want to learn how to make your gut tolerate more gels? If you answered yes to any of these questions, definitely watch the whole video because gels are a game changer. So before we go into any detail, let's quickly identify why gels are very handy. The first thing is the packaging. It's in a very compact size. Instead of carrying something like a banana, you can carry this and you get 40 grams of carbs in a single package, which is actually super duper good. And we all know that carbohydrates are the premium fuel source of the body. We're not going to be running that quick with fat, but as soon as you have carbs, you are going to be running quick because that's the premium fuel source. Essentially, over the course of a run, we're slowly depleting our glycogen, and our goal is to have enough blood glucose in the form of topping up on gels so that we can slow down the rate of glycogen depletion, and that's why running gels are super handy. Righty, we're here in Perth driving over to Swan River. We're going to set up an aid station today on the Swan River and just give out free big stuff to people running by and help them out on their run. So that'll be pretty exciting. Lag's going to go on his own run, so I'll be doing all the hard work. So we're looking for the best spot to put it up. Lag's setting up the table right now. Wow, this is kind of heavy. Now before we go into too much detail, we need to quickly identify what your end goal race is. So typically when you're running more than 90 minutes, that's when you should start considering carbs. But if you are running at a really high intensity, you can definitely justify using carbohydrates for shorter runs than 90 minutes. So if you're running 60 minutes pretty hard at a high intensity, you will benefit from the carbohydrates. You will get that performance benefit if you have carbohydrates. A lot of people think that carbs are only for racing, but it's really important to practice it in training as well. And we'll go into more detail on that. And even if you're not using it for performance, there's actually benefits in terms of recovery and rate of perceived exertion for the run the next day if you do fuel up during the run. You're going to feel way better in that next day run. Because I use the term RPE or rating of perceived exertion quite often, I thought I'd quickly clarify what it means so that everyone's on the same page. It's basically a subjective measure of how hard an effort feels. So it's your effort scale from 0 to 10. 10 being the hardest and 0 being completely nothing, and 5 being somewhere in between. And now let's go back to talking about why running gels improve your RPE for the next day. And that's because you're not depleting your glycogen storage as much, so that recovery process is basically accelerated. You recover from each run a lot quicker in terms of glycogen depletion, and therefore you feel a lot better in general. Now a quick example of this is that some people finish a long run and then they end up in the couch for the rest of the day and they can't do anything. But if you do have gels, you'll notice that you don't have to sit on the couch for the rest of the day because you're not depleting your glycogen storage as much, and therefore you feel a lot better. So after a Sunday long run, if you're stuck in the couch for the rest of the day, you should definitely consider taking a bit more carbohydrates before and during the run, and I think it'll go a long way in terms of how you feel afterwards. We've already had a couple people interested in the hydration stand, so it's looking good. Right. Oh hey, no, that's fine. We're not in a rush. This is Vlad, if you haven't met yet. Lockie. Lockie's from Subi Run Club as well. Yeah.
Thanks for coming along.
Man, this is exciting. I don't get to do this every day, so I'm stoked. I am a self-proclaimed very good hand rider, so you guys can rate it in the comments. Let's go. We'll keep it simple first, and then maybe add more later. Put it at the front, more visible. Oh, I'm stoked about this cap. Gotta set it up nicely. Presentation. Got Bodhi in the crew now. Let's go. Look at that. I know you guys are starting to get excited to see how people react to the free energy gels that we're giving out, but let's quickly talk about glucose to fructose ratio. Before we get onto that though, we need to understand the difference between glucose and maltodextrin. So there's a thing called a monosaccharide, which is 1 unit of sugar. So that's a glucose molecule. When you combine glucose molecules together, they become a polysaccharide, which is called maltodextrin. You can basically think of glucose and maltodextrin as the same thing. They're both referring to one sugar type, whereas fructose is referring to another type of sugar. So glucose is a monomer or a monosaccharide, and maltodextrin is a polymer or a polysaccharide. It's just combined glucose together. So if we go by weight, it actually doesn't matter whether you call it glucose or maltodextrin. Obviously the chemistry students will care about that, but for us, we don't need to know more than that. Fructose in gels usually just exists as fructose. The reason why I'm telling you both of these names is because sometimes in a gel you'll see glucose, other times or more frequently you'll see it referred to as maltodextrin. So it's good to be familiar with that term.
This is awesome.
Free gel?
Thank you.
You guys have been here for hours.
Oh, I'll take one of those. There you go.
You might as well.
Water, please.
Water? Oh, that's electrolytes.
Electrolytes, no sugar.
I think I've done like so far 12k.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
We got gels. Gels? Enjoy. Gel? Have a drink.
Do you want a gel?
Yeah, why not? Tastes good. Thank you very much.
The electrolytes are fantastic. My favourite is the grapefruit flavour.
Now moving on to the important part about these two types of sugars, with glucose you can actually absorb 1 gram per minute, whereas fructose you can only absorb 0.5 grams per minute. And this is because glucose and fructose have different transporters from the gut to absorb it for it to be processed and utilized. So the fructose transporter is obviously less efficient because it can only absorb 0.5 grams per minute, whereas this one can absorb 1 gram per minute. So that means that every hour or every minute or any given amount of time, you can absorb double the amount of glucose compared to fructose. However, keep in mind that your body can only absorb 60 grams of glucose an hour, so this only goes up to 60 grams an hour, and then you can have 30 grams of fructose with that. So this is exactly why we hear the term 2-to-1 glucose to fructose ratio when we're talking about gels quite often. But because we know that the glucose transporter can absorb 60 grams of glucose an hour, you actually don't really have to worry about it too much until you're considering taking more than 60 grams an hour. However, it is important to acknowledge that everyone's absorption rate is going to be slightly different, so it's not going to be exactly 60 grams an hour per person for glucose. It could be 57 grams an hour of glucose for one person, but maybe 63 grams of glucose an hour for another person. But we're just talking rough estimates and averages in a population. Which is why even if you're going for something like 50 grams an hour, it is beneficial to get a gel that has both glucose and fructose. You'll be surprised to see how many gels on the market only have glucose in their gels and not fructose, which is why I'm really picky with what nutrition brand I'm supported by. So I was with Precision Hydration in the past, which has a 2-to-1 ratio, and now we have Bix, which has a 1-to-0.8 ratio. And the reason why Bix has a 1-to-0.8 ratio is because recent studies have shown that people are starting to be able to absorb like 0.8 grams per minute rather than 0.5 grams per minute. So Bix is trying to push the limits of how many grams an hour you can tolerate as an athlete, and having that 1-to-0.8 ratio really helps out people like Vlad, the founder of Bix, to be able to consume 120 grams an hour and be fine because there's a better ratio of 1-to-0.8. So once you're starting to get really competitive with the glucose to fructose ratios and consuming more grams an hour, it becomes really important to have the right ratio, and that's why Bix is an amazing company. But obviously there's an element of bias because I am supported by Bix, but there are other companies that do it as well. However, I will give a small plug to Bix right now and my code. So my code Sota will give you 20% off Bix, and yeah, it's a good opportunity to try them out.
Thank you.
Check it out.
You just buy online.
Yeah, you can. Or you can use my code Sota for 20% off. Yeah. A lot of people have been saying that they've been getting freebies along with their orders, so definitely check it out. It's a good gel. And yeah, definitely approved in terms of the glucose to fructose ratio. Do you want to take some? Let's go. There's a bike behind you.
I'll try the small. Was that trail runner? Trail runner?
I am. I think I've seen you before.
Yeah.
I forgot where, but yeah.
Do you know Sota?
Thank you. Do you want gels? They're free.
Keep up the videos, please.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, let's go salted strawberry.
Let's talk a bit about isotonic gels as well, because I think that's quite a big thing. But first of all, what does it mean and when is it applicable?
Technically, that density of the energy gel is equal to our plasma in our body, which means that the absorption is going to be simpler. So when something is hypertonic, it's like the absorption is difficult because that is like it's essentially pulling water out from the area that is against it. If it's isotonic,
it's kind of like going against gravity. It's harder.
Yeah, exactly. Most energy gels are actually hypertonic because they are more concentrated.
Which is why it's important to have water with gels ideally, because there's not many gels that are isotonic out there. Most of them are on the thicker side and they're not super duper watery. It's obviously going to be a spectrum as always. It's not either it's thick or it's thin. There's everything in between as well. I'd say Bix is on the watery side, but it's definitely not the most watery. But yeah, that's one thing I do want to say. You need to be having gel with a little bit of water if you want to play it safe and not ruin your stomach. The main kind of point is you shouldn't be turned off by carbs just because you have one bad experience, because it's normal human physiology to need to stress the system a little bit so that the body knows that it has to adapt to it. So you gotta go through the crappy stomach a couple of times to kind of get used to it over time.
Yeah, and I think that's important is to don't kind of go, oh, I tried a gel, didn't work for me, don't try it again. to like another 3 or 4 months because it's probably like, you know, not gonna get any better. What you do want to do is actually maybe try and have a little bit more water with it.
I was gonna say,
Supplying water would really help. Even if, like, let's say you had a whole gel, you didn't feel great, 3 or 4 days later, have another gel, but maybe have half of it, have some water, walk for a bit, have the other half some water.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You want a caffeinated gel?
Oh, Sota, how are you?
Good, how are you? You want a gel or?
Okay.
YouTube channel as well? Yeah. Nice, fair enough.
Thank you.
You gotta take it.
Thank you.
Free gels, why would he not take free gels?
Thank you.
Oh, nice, love the hat. She had the big hat. Take it.
Thank you.
Can I take one of these?
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
I'm really a bit parched. Thank you very much.
That's so good. I'm glad we were here at the right time. So I'm gonna start to wrap up this video, but before we end it, we do need to talk about the most important thing from this video, which is how to progress your nutrition towards race day. Now, with human physiology, we all know that you have to add a stimulus and you get an adaptation. And that's no different with running gels. You have to take a lot of gels and get used to that. Your stomach needs to learn how to process that because it's not used to having something that's a high carb gel, which is essentially just a lot of sugar, and processing it, right? So you need to add that stimulus to your body to kind of learn how to deal with it. And then over time, your gut gets used to it and then you can tolerate it. Now that you have the superpower of being able to consume gels and process it and use it, you're at a huge advantage to people who don't use it. Remember, gels give you a recovery advantage, a training advantage, and also a racing advantage. So there's literally no downside to running gels apart from that it costs money, I guess. But it's gonna elevate your training and it's gonna keep you injury free as well, because it's not good to be glycogen depleted and carbohydrate depleted. And we know that from the science already. And Gaby Villa, the nutritionist that features on this channel quite frequently, she talks about this quite a lot. And being low on carbs is actually really dangerous if you're doing a lot of training. So definitely keep that in mind. So that is why high carb is always important. High carb always wins. You want to fuel a lot, you want to fuel during, before, and after. But let's talk about some practical tips that you can take into account when trying to build up your nutrition. A lot of people fixate on grams of carbohydrates per hour, but I think a better way to think of it is just in terms of gels. How many gels per hour are you having? And with that, you can slowly build it up. So you might start off with something like 1 gel an hour. So that might be like 30 grams or 40 grams or 25 grams, depending on what gel you have. But as soon as you try that in your long run, and realize that you're not getting any stomach issues, you can progress that a little bit. But you don't have to have 2 gels an hour. You can do something like 1 gel every 50 minutes instead of just suddenly jumping from 1 gel an hour to 2 gels an hour, because that's a pretty big jump. And you never know, your body might not like that, and you don't want to risk it too much. So once you do a gel every 50 minutes, you can go to 45 minutes or 40 minutes and slowly progress onwards from there. And before you know it, you might be taking 2 gels an hour. But the thing to remember about running gels is that there's a lot of context involved. Are you having enough water with it? Because if you're not, then you're not going to tolerate the gels as much as if you were to be hydrated well and having the gels with liquids as well. And at the same time, the speed that you're running at can also affect it. If you're running super duper quick, it's actually really hard to process gels on the go, which is why you have to practice the skill of taking gels at race pace, because you need to get used to having it at race pace. If you're doing a workout and you're taking it in the recovery jogs, then you're not teaching yourself to process it while you're running fast. Same thing with opening the gel, that takes skill, and it's important to be able to do that while running at race pace. So with all my athletes that I coach, I try and encourage them to take the gels during the reps and during race pace, because that's the most important thing at the end of the day. But this becomes more interesting when you do trail running, because in trail running, we have parts of the race where you are like hiking up a hill, where you have a staircase and you're going a little bit slower, and that's an easy time to consume more carbs because your stomach can process it a little bit easier when you're going a lot slower. So that's when I tend to take a lot of carbohydrates in a race. But again, if you're doing road running, it doesn't apply as much because you're kind of running pretty quick the whole time. But that's where practicing gels in training becomes really important. The one thing you should keep in mind though is that you should never progress your carbs per hour if you aren't tolerating that amount of gels yet. So if you do have stomach issues in a run because you're taking a certain amount of gels, don't progress it the next week because you're not ready to handle that yet. You want to get your gut used to that same amount of grams an hour first, and once you can tolerate that, that's when you can build it up the next week. So it's not increasing it every single week, no matter how your gut reacts. You want to listen to your gut as well and slowly progress it. It's the same thing with anything else. Like if I can't do a certain amount of weight on the squat rack, I'm not going to keep progressing the weight before I can do it properly with good form, right? So it's the same concept as that. So as always, I hope this video was helpful. I highly recommend you guys try Vicks. It's really cool. It's an Australian company. It's from WA. The founder of the company is an Australian representative in the World Trail and Mountain Running Champs, and he's also a 227 marathoner. He only uses Vicks. So it's important for him that his products are actually good and high quality. And it really helps convince me that it's a really good product when the founder is such an accomplished runner who uses the gels themselves as well. Obviously, that doesn't make or break everything. I've done my research. I like the 1 to 0.8 ratio. I like that they have electrolytes. I like that because they sell these gels in a lot of hotter Southeast Asian countries as well, and Hong Kong. They've thought about putting adequate amount of electrolytes in the gels as well. And there's different types of gels, some with more electrolytes, some with less. And then on top of that, they just have a whole bunch of electrolytes and carb drink mixes that you can use as well. And I didn't even touch on the different types of carbohydrate textures, but I'm going to cover that in another video because this video is already getting a bit long. To end off this video, you can see the rest of the reactions of people getting free big stuff, but I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like, comment below, and I'll see you in the next one.
Awesome.
See ya. All the best. Have fun.
I'll use it for tomorrow.
Yeah, you can save it for your next run.
Absolutely, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
That's all good. Yep.
Have a good day.
Yeah, thank you. You're a Kiwi, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. All right, enjoy. See ya. We got some free gels, free electrolytes. How does it feel to be a Vicks athlete now?
It's so good. We're great. We're gonna be trying the gels, and I'm not gonna be dying at 18k anymore.
Welcome to the Vicks aid station. Pretty good. You want one more? This is Barry. Catch. You want a gel?
Thank you. One.
Enjoy. Take your pick.
What's the best one?
Thank you.
We got some gels if you want.
Thank you very much.
This one has more electrolytes in the gel.
You look like a supermodel, mate. I'm the Flash.
Enjoy.
Cheers. Good on you.
See ya. Malaysia, nice. I go to KL, JB, and Penang a lot. Yeah, I love it. Surely people see the shine and get some free Vicks. Gels, free electrolytes, fuel up. It's a long run day, right?
You can take gels. Can I take one? Is that yeah, like you're a running warehouse.
We got electrolytes as well.
Thank you. I'm gonna have this.
Oh yeah, go for it. We're just doing this for fun. Yeah.
We'll be on YouTube.
This guy's
Oh, okay. I was there, but I didn't run.
No, I know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
ran what I mean is I was there when we did that Kafusi run.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sorry I didn't remember.
That's okay.
I feel like I met so many people at that run. Like,
I didn't realise you moved over from New South Wales to here.
yeah, I'm here for one more year. I'm doing a master's degree, and I'll move back to Sydney. Is that enough? Do you want more?
I think it's crazy. Like if someone else,
And that's the bin right there if you want.
I'm just taking it.
Cute dog though. You're gonna appear on YouTube now.
Salted strawberry.